Hi, I'm Shenice, the Director of Strategic Initiatives for Unite, and thank you for joining me as we talk about managing conflict on teams. I know you may be thinking, does this apply to me? Yes, it does. Many teams experience conflict due to miscommunication, poor performance, lack of organization, and even missed deadlines. The key to managing conflict starts before it arises and having a plan when it starts. Let's go ahead and dive in. There are 3 things that you should know about your team before you start working together. Number 1, know your team and how to connect with them. Number 2, know your team's strengths. And lastly, know your plan for success. Many times this information is taken for granted and it causes unnecessary conflict. First, know your team and how to get in contact with them. Whether it's a class project, subcommittee for an organization, or a work project, make sure you take a moment to learn something about your teammates. You should know their full name, cell number, and email, and at least one other thing about them. It could be their major, where they're from, classification, or title. But this simple approach and exchange of information helps to build relationships. Trust me, and try this method. And it's also important to know the best way to get in contact with them. So hey, go ahead and ask them when I need to get in contact with you, do you prefer I text or call you? Trust me, they'll appreciate you asking. Number 2, make sure that you know your team's strengths. And you do not have to be the leader of the team to make sure that you understand this information. In every team, there is a place for a connector or facilitator, that person who knows how everyone can best contribute to the team. So for an icebreaker, go ahead and ask, hey, what is everyone's maybe top strengths and what do you think you can bring to the group? Not only will this provide key information on how best everyone can work together, but it will also help delegating tasks at the end of the meeting easier. There are also some key contributors that every team should have, and I'm going to go ahead and put you on game. Number 1 should be an organizer. They're typically the ones that take notes, follow up with everyone via email, understands all of the deadlines, and who's responsible for what. Number 2 is the creative. This person is usually handling all the graphics, videography, understanding how to make the presentations more aesthetically appealing. Number 3 is the communicator. This person is typically your strongest presenter, is outgoing, and can connect with external contacts in order to get the information that you need. And they may be great at writing or verbal marketing. And lastly is the connector. This person is diplomatic, keeps harmony within the group, takes on tasks that other people won't do, and is typically cool with everyone. Those are your main contributors on a team, and once you identify them, you have a power circle. And the last thing that you should know is know your plan for success. Once you've connected with your team and ironed out all of the details, make sure they understand what's required of them, when it's due, when the next meeting is, and if their work impacts anyone else on the team. And ensure your organizer captures all of this information. What we find as an easy way to mitigate conflict is ensuring that everyone knows what's expected of them. Remember, you don't have to be the leader of your team to make sure that these buffers are put in place. Knowing your team and how to connect with them, knowing their strengths, and knowing your plan for success is just simple, good strategy. Now, let's talk about when everything isn't so cookie cutter and conflict arises anyway. I'll call these my 3 P's of conflict. Number 1, prevent any further conflict and make sure you fully understand the problem. Number 2, preserve mutual respect and encourage open communication. And number 3, proceed with solutions and don't accept excuses. It's important to talk to everyone one-on-one to make sure you fully understand the problem. We know that there are always side conversations, and don't underestimate what people may think. Once you have the full story, come together as a team. Even if you talk to the main people part of the conflict first, it's still important to come together as a team to discuss the conflict and get out the elephant in the room. The key to being a connector and managing conflict is getting people to understand that there's a bigger picture. The bigger picture is that we're working together for a common goal and everyone is meaningful to that goal. It's important to respect each other regardless how everyone feels, because if one person is likely to disrespect the team member because of a disagreement, they're more likely to disrespect other team members as well. Make sure you create a safe and open environment that encourages mutual respect at all times. Provide everyone an opportunity to speak on how they feel regarding the situation, even if they choose not to say anything. With this approach, you're taking the focus off of the conflict and putting it back on the team. And also, it's going to be important to control the narrative. If you have someone making outlandish statements, not focusing on the facts, reiterate that if the conflict isn't related to the work, then there's no room for discussing it. Next, proceed with solutions and don't accept excuses. As a team, determine the solutions on how we're going to move forward just by starting the conversation and say, hey, I understand that we have this conflict, but how can we move forward as a team and what solutions are on the table? And don't accept reasons as to why things can't be done. The goal is to have the team to focus on solutions and next steps, instead of what may have caused the conflict in the first place. With this approach, fewer conflicts will arise in the future because as a team, everyone will realize if we're not discussing the project at hand, there really is no room for it within the group. Let's review. The 3 P's of conflict are: prevent any further conflict and make sure you fully understand the problem, preserve mutual respect and encourage open communication, and lastly, proceed with solutions and don't accept excuses. Thank you for joining me on how to manage conflict on teams. For more Unite Hotspots, join us at unitehbcu.org.